All right, you guys, welcome back to another episode of Running with Wolves. I'm really excited to kind of chit chat about something today because I have had just quite the year of 2024, and I feel like it has felt very different than the last few years of business in terms of my ability to have work-life balance. And there's a lot that I did. And I've been getting a lot of questions around this actually. There's a lot that I did to really prioritize that this year. I always say my year for 2024 was balance. And I feel like I did actually a really good job of respecting that while also hitting our sales goals. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about having like freedom and flexibility in business, because ultimately that's why a lot of us started our businesses, so we could have more freedom, whether that be, the ability to like take time off and not have to ask your boss about it, or to, just go work or not work in the middle of the day on like a Tuesday and like go take a workout class and be able to be like, you know what, I'm my own boss, so I can do this. Or, whether that be to have the flexibility to work from wherever, or, to take time off to like take care of a sick loved one or something like that if you need to, right? Or like for me, for example, when you have termites all over your house and you have to like flee your home, be able to take time off if you need to, or to work from wherever, because life happens. And I think being a business owner, if you set your business up properly, actually gives you the ability to be flexible when life happens, but also still have a really incredible source of revenue and impact on the people around you. So I want to kind of talk about basically, how I've been able to accomplish that balance, because this year has felt very, very different from 2023. And I think that there's a lot that we did differently. So I want to talk a little bit about what 2023 looked like, so that when I talk about what this year has looked like, you guys really have a clear understanding of like how different it is, because it's, I would say, night and day. So last year was the year that I said, I want this to be like our multi-million-dollar year. And it was. And I remember having a conversation with my business coach when I said that to her, and she goes, okay, but I need you to understand what that's going to look like. And I need you to understand what that is going to entail. And if you're okay with that, amazing. If you're not okay with that, then it will get you there, but it's just going to potentially take a little bit longer. And you have to figure out like what you're okay with and what you're not in terms of sacrifices, because to get to any goal, you're going to have to make a sacrifice, whether it's based on how you get to that goal or the goal itself and when you reach it, right? So I was like, no, I got this. I can do hard things. And in my mind, I've always been of the mindset of like, you know what? I would rather have things be really crazy for a short period of time. I would rather sacrifice short term and be able to have it pay off long term. And I'm still very grateful that I did it the way I did last year, but I would never do it again. Truthfully, I literally would never do it that way again. So last year, literally the whole year, I would get up every single morning at 5:30 a.m. I would immediately go into a cold plunge because I was so anxious, because I had so much going on. And it was one of the only things that would help me like chill the fuck out. Then while I was in the ice bath, I would do meditations. I would listen to a bunch of different podcast episodes. I would get out. I would do a workout. I would read. I would do my manifestations. I would do like all this just different stuff. And then I would take my dog for a walk. At the time, I only had Shadow, my older dog. Take my dog for a walk, and then I would come back, get ready for work, and I would immediately get into meetings by, I would say, about 8 a.m. Then from like 8 to 1 or 2, I was in meetings straight, no breaks, pretty much every single week. And every single day, except for Fridays. I tried to have that be like a little bit more of like a get shit done day. And then in the middle of my 1 p.m. meeting, I would order lunch to get delivered to my house. And so it would arrive usually by like 2 p.m. whenever I was done with my last meeting, basically. And I would usually only have that whole hour to eat my lunch, and then I would do all of my TikToks, sell on my stories, check in with the team really fast, and then that was pretty much it. And I would have to get into more meetings. So I was basically like scarfing my food within like 10 minutes. So I would have more time to like get all of my non-negotiables done, like filming my TikToks and my stories and all that other stuff, because those were the things that moved the needle for us. That was, our marketing is really what's created our sales. And so I knew that like I had to do that. There just like wasn't really an option, right? And on top of that, I would also do that really quickly so that I could try to sneak in like a 20-minute nap, basically, because my body would just like shut down because it was so exhausted. And so I would just try to like sneak in a 20-minute nap. I would restart all of my meetings, and I would usually be in meetings until 5. Then I would take a break and I would make dinner or order dinner. Usually, let's be really real right now. I would order dinner, and then I would eat super fast. Again, just scarf it down. I would usually take another nap, like 20 minutes. And then I would pour myself a large glass of wine. I was drinking like way too much last year. I've been very open about that because of how stressed out I was to try to cope. And then I would basically start in on another, like I would call it another shift of work from like 6 to 10, I would say. And that's when I would really get client support done. So I would answer clients in Slack, have conversations with them, review projects, marketing, sales conversations. I would give them feedback on sales funnels. I would send out any proposals if I had had sales calls, any of those things. And then I would get up and I would do that all over again. And I would truthfully, like after 10 o'clock, I would sit there for like an hour and literally just like zone out and watch TV and drink wine and watch like crappy reality TV. And then I would go to bed and I would wake up and I would do that all over again. So when I tell you that, yes, number one, am I grateful that I built my business the way that I did, especially last year, because now this year I'm able to benefit from that, absolutely. But I will also say, I think that the way in which I went about it, had I known that that's what that was going to entail, would I have done that? I don't know, because I was also working on the weekends. So my mental health suffered, my relationships suffered. I barely saw like my family or my friends. And I really didn't leave the house to do very much. The only thing I was doing was working out, and I was working out like at home. So I think that it was very isolating. It was really bad for my mental health. I had so many just really hard like breakdowns during that year. Not to mention I was in like a toxic relationship. I had health challenges because of how stressed I was. Like there was just so much going on. It was just a crazy year. Anyways, so flash forward to this year. After all of that, I remember having a conversation with my business coach, and I was like, okay, so remember how you told me it was going to be really hard? And she was like, yeah. I go, it was really hard, and I don't think that I can do it like that again. So I want to scale, but I don't think that I can do it like that. And I guess I feel like I'm just going to continue to ask myself this question of like, at what cost? Because she had shared with me, her mindset around scaling now, because she's like, I have my goals and I have the things that I want to do, but also at the same time, I have to ask myself the question when those two things aren't coinciding, like at what cost do I want this to happen? So if I'm going to go really hard with like the launch of, one of our new offerings or something, at what cost? Does that mean I'm going to have to work weekends? And am I okay with that? And if I'm not okay with that, if that goes against like the values and the boundaries that I have set up for myself personally so that I can thrive as a business owner, then we figure out a different way to do it, or we push the timeline or any of those things. And so we changed so much this year about how I operate as a CEO. So last year, I was still doing the majority of our marketing strategy for most of the year, I would say. And I was also still supporting all of our clients, like just on my own, right? And we had a lot of clients, all of our accelerator clients. This was obviously in 2023. 2024 has been a different story. 2024 feels like 3 years in and of itself. I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but I do. But in 2023, I was supporting all of our clients still on my own, accelerator clients, and we had like 30 clients. I had one-to-one clients, and I think I had 8 one-to-one clients. And at the time, I think we had like 6 to 8 agency clients. And so we had our team handling agency clients, but I was still really heavily involved in client communications. So first few things that we did was bring in a bunch of people to help with client delivery. So we brought on Carrie, who is our marketing and sales director. She's absolutely incredible. And at the time, she was just working with agency clients, and our clients really loved her. And so I was able to kind of step back pretty significantly from the agency side of things. And that freed up a lot of time just in terms of like back and forth communication, right? Because I get stuck in Slack with them all the time. And it's like, I don't need to be having these conversations. My team member can. So I was able to step back from that. Then she slowly started to do our marketing strategy, just coming up with like the content ideas. And we had Haley, who was our social media manager, or still is. She's absolutely incredible. She does such a good job like writing for our brand voice. But she started to come up with my TikTok ideas for me, to come up with our Instagram ideas and like what we should be talking about on stories and just all these different things, which was really, really cool, because then all I had to do was be like, okay, what do I need to film today? Get it done, knock it out of the park, and boom, I'm done. Feed content was already going out. So now last year, it would take me like a whole hour to get all of our stuff done for the day. Now it only takes me, I would say, like 10 to 20 minutes. I film all of our TikToks, like that's what I did earlier. I film all of our TikToks, and then I film all of our Instagram stories for the day, and then that's about it, right? So that saves me a bunch of time. On top of that, we slowly started to have her help with sales conversations, like within the DMs. Now she does calls for us, which has been so helpful. So we've really removed me from a lot of the marketing and the sales strategy side of things. And now I'm just like the face of the brand, delivering with the content, right? And then on top of that, we started to bring her in for Accelerator to help with sales consulting. And then we also brought on co-coaches for the Accelerator, because we added a one-to-one element, right? So now really all my day-to-day is comprised of is our marketing, sending in like, and when I say our marketing, I mean our TikToks, 3 TikToks a day. Sometimes it's 2, because we'll do like a B-roll trend. And if it's a B-roll trend, our team does that. 3 TikToks a day, selling on stories, and then checking in with clients, mostly consulting clients, and then Accelerator clients on Slack as well, checking in with team, and then meetings. And that only happens every other week. So I have A/B weeks. A weeks are my meeting weeks. And then B weeks, I have Accelerator calls still during the week. But other than that, it's like project work, right? So I have A/B weeks, which is really cool. And then from there, I film podcasts. And that's really about it. And then I manage our team, right? So everyone who's doing what I used to be doing, I manage them for doing what I used to be doing. And so I work 4 to 6 hours a day, depending on the week, depending on the day, depending on the season of the year. Like this month has, well, I would say November has been really, really busy going into Black Friday. And then December is a little bit quieter. So like I said, the key shifts that I would say that really helped me reclaim my time would be restructuring my business model. So instead of constantly just working with like a bunch of one-to-one clients, I scaled back the amount of one-to-one clients that I have. And now we have our Accelerator program where we have co-coaches helping with that. Creating, I would say, like really a huge like evergreen system for our leads with our marketing and our sales, and really like outsourcing and delegating where it was possible. And then having the right production plan. My production plan has kind of changed depending on the week, the month, the quarter. Like before, earlier this year, it was much easier for me to batch every single Friday. I would just film for like 2 hours and get it out of the way. But it started to be that Fridays was becoming really difficult for me because I had more going on. So now I do it every single day because I can get it out of the way, and we just blocked my calendar out until like 10 a.m. Like I said, the other thing that helped a lot was spending less time creating content. So we really refined our strategy so that it was super dialed in. And then I was able to hand that off to Carrie and Haley to implement, which has been so helpful. We also strategically like repurposed our best performing content onto like different platforms. We also, know the key things that do the best for our audience in terms of getting more visibility, getting more conversions. So we're able to really, I would say, expand our ROI in terms of the time and the effort and the energy that I spend in creating content, because we know exactly what to say in order to get people to buy. And so every piece of content that I film performs incredibly and converts incredibly. And then, like I said, I think setting boundaries was really huge for me. So enforcing office hours and unplugging from business after hours for myself and my team is really important. So my team will tell you, I will literally yell at them if they're on Slack after hours, like after 5 p.m. their time. I'll be like, why are you on Slack? Sorry, what are you doing? And I think I got really good at doing that for myself this year too. So last year I would yell at them, but then I would be working until 10 or 11 p.m. And for me this year, I will not work after 4 or 5 p.m. I won't work on weekends. And if it requires me to do that, it's not worth it. And I have to push the timeline somehow. The other thing I also do is, like I said, I have those A/B call weeks. And so there are certain weeks that I don't have any meetings, and I block that out for really deep, like intentional work or personal time. Honestly, something that I was told last year was that you have to treat, and this is something I tell my clients, you have to treat scaling your business like you are in the Olympics, like you are a professional athlete. And professional athletes understand that prioritizing their recovery and rest is equally as important as training and pushing hard and doing all these different things. And so I would feel really guilty before when I would, take time off to do personal things like go get a facial or go get a massage or go to the chiropractor or go get my acupuncture done or go get my hair done or go have coffee with a girlfriend or go sit on the beach and fucking breathe. I used to feel really guilty doing those things when I was like, I could be working right now. But the reality is that doing those things makes me show up better because I'm taking care of myself first. And so I have to prioritize those things in order to hit my goals. And then the last thing that I did that I really learned to do last year and this year is to actually take breaks if I start to feel sick, or I'm like not feeling well. So for example, last month, I feel like I don't really get sick that often. I get sick maybe a couple times a year, but last year I would just power through. And it got to the point where I literally was so sick for like an entire month, like just deathly ill, didn't feel good. And I was like, okay, it's very clear that if I don't take a break when I start to feel sick, my body will shut down for me. And it got to the point where I then ended up having to take like an entire week off because I was so sick. Now when I start to feel sick, I'm like, I'm going to lay down for a little bit. You guys let me know if you need anything and I'll be back. And that helps me show up to the best of my abilities. Or like, for example, last week I get, they're called optic migraines, which is basically, I get migraines pretty consistently, but this started happening like a year ago where you lose your vision for like an hour or two, basically, when you get these migraines. And I can't see for shit. And the only way to get your eyesight back is to like rest your eyes and sleep, essentially. And so like a week ago, we were supposed to have this big meeting and this ended up happening. And last year I would have powered through. I literally would have been like, hey guys, I'm going to be camera off, but like I can still hear you. I just can't see anything. So like, let's chat it out. But this year I was like, no, absolutely not. I was like, guys, I need to lay down. We have to push our meeting. I'm sorry. Like, I literally can't see right now, and I'm not going to be of any use during this meeting if I can't see and I have a massive migraine. Like, it's just not worth it, right? The other things that I shifted were really starting to like prioritize myself. Like I said, I was willing to sacrifice short term last year and it paid off big time. But this year I was like, you know what? No, like I am actually going to live my life that I created this business for. And I've been having so much fun, you guys. Like I've been so tired because I'm doing so much, but like in a good way. Every weekend I'm doing something. Like every week I have all of these workouts. I see friends, I see family, like I have time for my relationships. It's just such a really cool phase of life, I would say, is like recognizing that I can run a business and I can also be a human being at the same time. And that's not something that I gave myself permission to do last year. So it's been really cool. But I will say that the only reason why I have been able to do all of this is because it starts with our marketing. Like if you think about it, all the changes that I made to our offerings and our team and delegating and doing all of these things, I wouldn't have been able to do that if we weren't consistently creating sales. And our sales come from our marketing strategy. Like if we were really struggling with sales, I would need to jump back in. Like if there was ever a time where our sales like weren't working, something was happening, we weren't making sales for some reason, I would jump back in. I'd be like, what's going on? This is my job to hold the vision of the company and make sure that our team can do their jobs and figure shit out. And so, revenue and sales is a really big part of that, right? But being able to have all of this freedom really came from having a marketing strategy that consistently creates sales for us. So I want to speak to that a little bit because I think marketing is not the first place that most people would look to like reclaim their time, because I think that marketing is not like the first place that people are like, oh, I could refine my time with this. They're like, they've just kind of accepted that marketing takes a really long time, whether it's to create or to create sales. But I actually don't think that that's true, because if you are not bringing in like the max amount of sales possible from your content from a single post, you have to waste more time and effort and energy creating more content. Like I know so many people who are creating great money, but they're literally creating like 10 videos a day. And I'm like, bro, I make the same amount of money as you, but we're creating 3 videos a day, right? Because volume and quantity does not always equate to a higher conversion rate or more sales. Sometimes it's okay to do less, but have it perform and convert better and create more money that way. And something that I started to realize, because there was a minute there last year where I was like, do we need to start doing ads? Do we need to start creating more content? Do we need to, like, there was a time where I tested 6 TikToks a day because I was like, if 3 gets me these results, maybe 6 will get me double the results. Didn't actually happen. Because what I realize is that I think when people start to do more, the quality of the work that they're doing slips a little bit. So I basically came to this realization that I was like, instead of focusing on doing more, let me refine what we're doing right now so that it creates better results for us. And that's where I gained so much time back. And it was such a cool experience because I feel like every single time now that I open Slack, it's like, oh, this person invested, this person purchased, this person did that, new sales coming in, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, that's incredible. I didn't create any of those sales. Our marketing did. And in fact, I wasn't even super involved in the process of closing them, which is really cool. And I think that that's really truly like what results from having the right marketing strategy. And I think that's also what happens when your strategy is based in data. I can remember times in my business where, even as like a marketing expert, right, I strayed from what we knew worked based on our data. I strayed from looking at our data and didn't realize our buyer types had changed. And so when all of those things happened and our sales started to dwindle, I was like, why is this happening? And then you look at our marketing and our sales data and our strategy, I'm like, oh, because I wasn't paying attention to the data because I didn't refine my strategy. And so I think that locking all of that in, refining all of that is what allowed me to really, at its core, like step back and reclaim my time and my freedom as a business owner while still allowing us to scale. And I always say that like, it doesn't have to be complicated. I think that a lot of people overcomplicate their sales because they're like, holy shit, sales aren't happening. You start to panic, you spiral, it goes into this vicious cycle. And you're like, well, what do I say? And because you don't know what to say, you just start throwing stuff out. You're like, maybe I say this, maybe I say this, maybe I say this. Your audience doesn't respond to any of it, probably because it's not strategic or intentional or consistent. And then you spiral that much more. And I think that that's a valid feeling because you understand the importance of your sales. But my thought is that if you could literally just look at your data and you knew what it was telling you to shift, and you made those shifts and you saw the sales, wouldn't you rather that be your experience than throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks and then nothing sticks and you start to panic? I think that that's a much better experience. So if you're, I would say, like in the weeds right now, and you're where I was last year, I have some encouragement for you that I want to kind of speak to. We have a lot of clients that are moms, single moms, women that have so much going on, and time management is literally what determines how much time they get to spend with their kids, with their partners. If you feel like you own a business and you genuinely do not have time to do anything else and you're feeling really guilty, figure out your marketing and your sales. Because once you figure that out, production, energy, consistency, marketing models, everything that enables you to reclaim your time can fall into place. But if you're not creating consistent sales, if you don't have a dialed in strategy, you're always going to be chasing that next sale, and that will suck up so much of your time and your energy. The other thing I will also say is you will get to a point where you have an incredible team, if you want one. You trust them, they're doing their job, you guys are killing it, you don't have to micromanage. But what that's going to require is for you to trust the process and trust your team and to relinquish control. I don't think I recognized that I was the thing that was holding my team back, because I'd be like, well, here's my answer. And yet they can do it so much better than I can. And I wasn't giving them the opportunity to actually do that. I was just stampeding them. And now, because I've stepped back, I think we're in such a better place for it. The other thing I would also say is speak up for what you need as a business owner. I think we have this perception that we have to be able to be everything to everyone, and that's just not realistic. And on top of that, I had someone tell me, do you recognize that because you're unwilling to be transparent and vulnerable with your team, that they're scared to be transparent and vulnerable with you? Which means that they have a problem, they're not going to bring it to you because they're scared, because they don't feel like you will understand, and therefore you're not going to be able to offer them a solution, and it's going to create a bigger problem for your business. And when they said that to me, I was like, what? So this year, I've really learned to be very transparent and vulnerable with my team and my clients. I would say it's created this open dialogue where they know that if they're struggling with anything, they can come to me. And if they need help, or if they need something changed, or if they need better work-life balance, they can come to me and I will do the same. And they know I've got their back, and I know that they've got mine. But it starts with us, because we have to lead first and lead by example, and they'll follow suit. So here's the thing. If you feel like right now you're kind of drowning, like I was in 2023, the only thing that enabled me to have a different year this year in terms of what this experience has felt like scaling my business was somebody coming in and being like, hey, you could do this, this, and this differently, and here's how you could do it in order to make the same amount of money but work way less. Is that something that you would want to do? Because I didn't know what I didn't know, and I needed that perspective. And so that is one thing that I'm so passionate about, is helping people also do that with their marketing, their sales, scaling. So if you feel like you're in the weeds, you're drowning, it's never going to get better. I want to help you guys. So if you have questions about what my experience looked like, what my recommendations would be for you, you're always welcome to message me on Instagram. Or if you have any other questions about last year, this year, how we've scaled, how I've cut back on my time, I would love to answer those for you. Message me on Instagram. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye, guys.